While I have thus far had great success with Enchanter, one of the new classes from the Fel's analog of Fire Emblem Engage, I hadn't really figured out how to best use Mage Cannoneer up until this point. However, with a little bit of experimentation and some inspired thinking, I think I actually have a pretty awesome Mage Cannoneer build that's in the works, but is going to be worth talking about. So let's do just that. Hello everyone, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. As always, if you enjoy what I do, please like the video and subscribe. I could use the support as a small-time creator. Thank you. So Mage Cannoneer, this is a very odd class. Its damage scales off of its dex, but it has bad accuracy at range, but you want to be attacking at range. He has a bunch of different status effect, blasts, special, targeted damage blasts. It's an armored unit, but it's a ranged unit. It's a very strange class, but it's interesting because it's strange. But I hadn't had a chance to really figure out how I wanted to use it yet, until my most recent stream of my maddening run of Engage. You'll notice that I have Mauvier as a Mage Cannoneer, and literally the only reason for that is because I wanted to experiment with the class, and Mauvier, as my latest recruit, was really the only appropriately leveled character who didn't already have a build locked in like the rest of my team, who I could justify changing to Mage Cannoneer, and as such, well, he was the designated recipient. I wasn't sure what to do with it though, because his damage was bad, and his accuracy was bad, and like, yeah, it's nice to be able to hit something with Venom Blast that, like, applies max poison on hit, but you have to hit, and he's not very good at that. But the damage of, like, Magic Blast and Standard Blast aren't great, and I mean, I didn't really want to put money into buying the other blasts until I saw how the class felt, so I was really struggling to justify the include on my team, until I had a thought. Corrin. There was one moment in my most recent stream where I went into Marth's Paralog after reacquiring Marth, where I decided I wasn't going to be bringing Yunaka along for the mission just because, well, we were going to be blitzing, not holding the line, and Yunaka's more of a hold-the-line character with the way I've got her built, with her Dragon Vein smoke dodge tank build. So I figured, well, let's put Corrin on Mauvier. We're going to be bringing him anyway. I don't really have another emblem that would be appropriate for him, and, you know, at the very least, he'll be able to, like, do some supporty type stuff, whatever. And then it hit me. We can attack at up to 8 range with our blasts, but they're still attacks. And you know what attacks apply? Draconic Hex, and more importantly, Dreadful Aura. And that's when it hit me. By going in with what I'm calling the Mage Cannoneer, you can have a long-range permanent suppression unit who's also able to support allies with heals via quality time, who can lock down huge swaths of the enemy while also debuffing them. And that's before you even go for an engage and move in for a torrential roar. Think about that. So what's the idea here? Well, the idea is that using Venom Blast, which I would like to, you know, make more accurate to make it land more consistently, but still, you can be pushing up from the very start of the map, targeting enemy units to apply 3 stacks of poison to, making them infinitely more vulnerable to attacks. In targeting them with this, even if you don't actually get them with the Venom Blast, which is possible until you buff up your Mage Cannoneer's accuracy, and again, anyone can be a Mage Cannoneer, Mauvier just was conveniently there for me for the class change, but use who you want. You will then immediately be able to apply Draconic Hex, inflicting -4 to all of your foes' basic stats after combat. Shrinks by 1 each turn, but still, you can choose a target every turn and start applying stat debuffs. And if you figure it takes 4 turns for the buff to fall off, or the debuff to fall off, that's 3 units you can keep debuffed if you just rotate between them with Mauvier. And that's before you consider things like dances and whatnot to give him even more attacks in a round. Now, as you're pushing up, maybe there's a dangerous group of enemies, the boss is pushing with their squad, maybe a bunch of units that have revival stones, things like that. Well, that's where Dreadful Aura comes into play when you engage. If unit initiates combat, target foe, and all foes within 1 space of it cannot move for 1 turn after combat. This is if you initiate combat, not if you land the hit. So if you're scared of an enemy squad, they're tightly packed, engage, toss a Venom Blast at the leader, potentially apply some poison, and then make it so that up to 5 units can't move. And again, this is before dances. If you have Seed All or a Byleth Dancer, or even if you've got a Veronica user with Contract, that's potentially up to 10 or 15, depending on how many dances you want to put into Mavier. Enemy units that you can lock down for a turn, start applying debuffs to, hitting things with Draconic Aura, putting Venom on them, plus whatever other blasts you may have on hand. There's a lot of potential here. And what's nice is the whole time that you're doing this, presumably, you've got Mavier stuck in with the rest of your squad, which means everyone around him is healing for, at minimum, or I should say your Mage Cannoneer, again, doesn't have to be Mavier, but at minimum, they're getting plus 5 HP and support boosts every time he does this. And as quality time improves, we're looking at like 7 HP, I think maybe it goes up to 10 HP, don't quite remember. There's potential here. There's a lot of potential here. Then, of course, when it comes down to it, you can actually be engaged, move up for the Torrential Roar, hit a whole bunch of units with the Draconic Hex, Dreadful Aura combo. It's very, very nice. But there's more to it than just that. Because, like, yeah, you know, you want to be able to do more with your time than have 3 to 4 turns of being able to lock down enemy units, which is still a lot, don't get me wrong. But let's look at a little ability that Mage Cannoneers get here. I don't have it yet on Mavier because he's not high enough level, but, Let Fly, their level 5 skill. Used to perform a guaranteed hit, area of effect attack at the start of the next player phase. Unit loses equipped weapon. Now, I've seen this in play in the Fel's Analog. And based on my experience with other attacks, like, say, Engaged Sauron's Cataclysm, that applies things like Draconic Hex, I'm inclined to believe that Let Fly would apply Draconic Hex and Dreadful Aura to everything that it hits, or at least targets. And it's a guaranteed hit, so I mean, it's going to be a hit. If this is the case, that is a huge lockdown and debuffs. If you load your Mage Cannoneer up with Venom Blasts, hit a whole area with 3 stacks of poison, Dreadful Aura so they can't move, and -4 to all of their stats. You use that maybe as an opener on the boss and their squad before you charge in, or just a tightly packed group of dangerous enemies in general. That's something. And I mean, again, I don't even have this available yet. And just in the one map where I decided to start using this, Mavier had a massive effect on the battle. Let me play some stream clips here and you'll see just how ridiculous this was. We're definitely going to wind up doing some dancing here for sure. I do like Corrin Mavier though. That's pretty sick. I do like that a lot. Target right here. It's fine. Nice. Because I'd love, like, y'all know, I would adore this action. Is it worth it? Probably not. I could potentially lock down the group of enemies up there as well. I gotta try it, man. I gotta do it at least once. One strike will decide it all. Override Gaming, you know it. Very nice. Now, where do we go with him so he doesn't die? If it comes down to it, we go here and then we try to rescue him, I think. Oh, and we can actually contract Mavier. Okay. Oh, this is all coming together. So we can hit here to lock these guys down. I'll take this. Very nice. Lock down that group. And I can come here, contract, lock down another group. What if we just didn't even have to pull Zelkov out? Right? Oh, he's gonna have to move. Oh, he can't move. Crap. Okay. No, so we will still have to move, pull. Yeah, we'll still have to pull Zelkov out. But still. Also, I like the way the cannon just floats there. I didn't even think to look at that at first, but yeah, it's a unique weapon type, so it makes sense. So, what you're telling me is I can just shoot him and lock him down. Sorry, you dodged. Well, with the way skills work in this, you get locked down anyway. Sucks to suck. And now we can just take a leisurely stroll down memory lane and pick our way through his forces. Awesome. You see that? How insane is that? And this is completely untested, unrefined, just slapdash together. Imagine what you could do with a refined, focused build. There's a lot of potential here. Now, as far as other skills that I would want to inherit on this Mage Cannoneer, that's a good question. I haven't had the chance to think about it too much yet. The first thing that comes to mind is, of course, Sigurd with his plus hit, just so you can actually reliably land your Venom or whatever other blast you're intending to use most often with your actual attacks. You're getting more than just the Draconic Hex and the Dreadful Aura when you're engaged. So hit plus definitely seems like a solid option here. There are, of course, other things that you could go with as well, plus dexterity skills from characters like Lucina or Crom, if you have the DLC, would give a nice boost to your Mage Cannoneer's damage. You could also go with things like Rally Spectrum, so when you're not bombing things from afar, your Mage Cannoneer can still be buffing the team. This is definitely a support-focused build, for sure, don't get me wrong. Assign Decoy could also be nice if you're in close range and you want to make sure that an ally is taking damage instead of your Mage Cannoneer. There's a lot of options, and I need to go through and really figure out what the best options would be. But there's something to be said for this. Divine Pulse, again, turn your misses into hits. You can't really argue with that. There's a lot of refinement that could be done here. And, I mean, also figuring out what character would be the best to have the Mage Cannoneer on. But I like this. I really think that there is a powerful potential for a very strong support unit here. It's something I'm going to need to experiment with in a fresh run, where I can acquire the units from the Fel's Analog and the classes from the Fel's Analog a lot earlier, so I can grow into them and try some different things. But if you've been trying to figure out how to make Mage Cannoneer work and you've not been impressed with its combat capabilities due to its accuracy or lack thereof, its lack of damage, consider some support, and consider the Mage Cannoneer. I think that there's a lot that could be done here. If you have ideas for how the Mage Cannoneer could be further fleshed out, or you have some Mage Cannoneer builds that don't involve Corrin that you've been using to great effect, let us know in the comments. This is something I'm absolutely going to be working on further, so any suggestions would be highly, highly appreciated. If you enjoyed this video, again, please do leave a like, consider subscribing. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.